Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the RK Leadership Podcast, where we empower tomorrow's leaders through the sharing of knowledge, experience, and inspiring stories. I'm your host, Rob Cameronport, and today we have a very special episode. Today's conversations tackles one of the most universally felt and least openly discussed experience of childhood, which is bullying. I'm here with Coach Pete, who's a martial art and leadership coach, and Sensei Mark from Northern Karate. The conversation goes beyond anti-bullying cliches and into the harder questions about what bullying actually does to the kid's nervous system, how parents are often a part of the problem without realizing it, why traditional advice fails, and the real strength looks like in a child. The goal is not to deliver tidy lessons. The goal is to make parents listening in their car pull over because something landed. All right, guys, are we ready to start?
I'm ready to go.
Let's go.
Yeah.
So, Coach Pete, Sensei Mark, before we get into the hard stuff, tell me about a kid whose name you'll never forget, who walked through your dojo doors a different child than the one who walked back out.
I have to think about this one.
I kind of have to think about it, but not really, because they like every single one.
Yeah.
Every single one is, like even the confident child walks out humble. Like the kid that's never been bullied, like the popular kid, like or the athletic kid, but they walk out after a couple of years, they walk out with like humility, or maybe like I've had some people who were bullies, unbeknownst to me, and they go in there and they come out, they're not bullies anymore, right? And then obviously the kids who are not confident, there's shy, there's lots more of those stories. And, I'm sure Coach P has a ton of those as well. And it's hard to forget once you know that, hey, they're going to be okay, so. Yeah.
So thank you for giving me time to think. I have one story in particular about a kid, and it's not so much him being a bully, but him having a history of, like, he was a left-handed kid, and his parents and grandparents worked out the left-handedness from him. They were like old school. He had left-handed people, and he wasn't learning properly, and he was reading later than everybody else, and because he was getting made fun of, he got angry. And the more he got angry, the more he lashed out, right? Until he came into the gym, and then we're talking, and then I looked at him in his stance, and in his orthodox stance, he's very squared up. And without me saying anything, I was just like, let me see your other stance. He gets into the other stance. He's on an angle. He's on the perfect angle. His hands are up. He looks comfortable. And I was like, are you left-handed? And he was like, no. And he was, but I can see that a lot of things that he said to me, he was like, my parents, this, that. And I was like, huh. So then we started working on him being left-handed, and he actually like broke down.
Wow.
Like he was like, I always thought I was stupid. And I was like, no, your brains have a certain way of learning, right? Left-handed people, they learn a little bit different. They're a little more creative. You know what I mean? The way they think, they use the other side of the brain.
That's
and so we talked about it. And since then, I've seen a difference. Like even the way he cares, he doesn't even want to go out and be angry. You know what I mean? Very protective kid still, but that's a good thing, I think. And I think that protectiveness kind of is going into other people rather than to himself. He felt like he had to protect himself so much.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, there's a lot of that. They internalize it, right? And it's like they protect their feelings and they protect themselves because they don't want to feel, like you said, he probably thought he was stupid, right? Because he was left-handed. Like, but like he's not the only left-handed person.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
but here's the thing. It's like when you're forced to do something, I don't want to, like, his parents are doing the best they can. They're doing what they know, right? But they're forcing something out of him, and then that is kind of making him not learn to the best of his ability.
That's right.
Right. And when that happens, I can just imagine, like, and not even knowing and just like, honestly, I'm just stupid.
It's doing what they want rather than what the kid.
Yeah.
really wants.
Yeah. So if I may say something, and I'm just
Yeah.
going to plug what we both do, right? Like I always say this to the parents. It's like, well, we teach, I don't know if you do more private classes, but you teach group classes as well. Even though we teach group classes, we can treat individual students, right? Like I'm going to teach you the way you need to be taught.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to teach you the way you need to be taught to your strengths, We know what your weakness is. You know, that's something that you don't get in school because everybody gets taught the same way because they have someone to answer to, higher ups to answer to. So, you know, and that's where you bring the confidence out, or, you know, like, or sometimes the humility out. too.
No, for sure. I think that, well, I'm not going to be humble right now about this. I think one of my strengths is that I can explain different things to different people and have them understand it no matter, like, I have a way of like bringing it to them. Like if it's with a metaphor or an example from their life, it clicks for them.
Well, yeah, but that's why sports, and I'm going to go because this is what I know. Martial arts is important because some people are visual learners and audio learners. So I can explain it to you and you'll get it, but I can also show it to you.
Yeah.
Right?
No,
Like,
that's right. Sure.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put this back on both of you and to
This time you're going to go first.
to what you guys are doing today. And with respect to the topic that we're talking about today, have you guys personally felt bullied along your life? And what have you done with it? And is that why you got into martial arts?
Yes. Oh man. I'm going to try and think about the first time. So I remember being in like grade 6 or 7 and trick-or-treating with my friends. And these high school kids came and they were like, give us your candy. And they were like trying to grab from my other friends. And I was like, no. And I stood in front of them. And I was always the bigger kid out of everyone. And I stood in front of them and I remember getting kicked in my stomach. And I was like, I literally got kicked in my stomach and I went to get up to do something. And I was like, that feeling of, oh, I'm not getting up to do anything. And I kind of sank back down and they took off. And I remember thinking, like, I was like the protector. I was like but they were, I couldn't.
A group of friends.
Yeah, I was like the tough, like, not the tough guy, but you know what I mean? Like, like no one in our school would, if anything, they would come into me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was like, oh my gosh, there is someone there. Like, I couldn't do anything. And I think rather than making me angry, because what happened right after that was all my friends took a little bit of candy out of all their bags and gave me their bag of candy.
Oh, those are real friends.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And from that point on, I was like, okay, there is a reason to be that protector. Right. And now when I was young, my parents were like, not my parents, my mom was against violence. Like I couldn't even have toy guns. So when I asked to join, I wanted to do karate and she was like, no, like she was like against violence.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, but I really want to do this. I tried it for like a camp and for like 2 weeks. And even then she was like, no. And I loved it. So when I turned 16, I like saved up my money and I took a boxing class and then that was that.
Rest is history.
Yeah. But I always think about that moment.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Mark?
Yeah. For me, I don't know if it was bullying. I you know, like obviously there was bullying when I was growing up, but it was like, you know, within a group of friends. I guess I was with the popular kids in elementary school, like grade 6, grade 7. But I got into a fight. Like all my friends weren't there, and this one guy, I don't know, had a problem with my friend, and he just beelined straight to me, and I didn't know what I was doing. So, but at the same time, I knew like I'm gonna get really hurt if I don't do anything. So I fought back, but you know, it got separated really quickly. And my dad has always wanted me to do martial arts. I remember when we first came to Canada, the first thing he did was like rent all of these. Like the first time we got a VCR, rented all these like martial arts movies and made me watch it, right? And I liked it, but we couldn't afford it. But I guess at that point they were like, well, he needs to, if he's going to get into these type of things, which I wasn't really getting into trouble. But they were worried. And then the next week, my dad woke me up and said, here's your karate gi.
Nice.
And that was 36 years ago and I haven't stopped.
Nice.
Amazing.
So, yeah.
I can tell you, the folks out there, these two are the last people that you want to be in confrontation with. So thank you for sharing those stories with us. So changing the topic a little bit, not the topic, but changing the tone a bit. So both of you guys spend decades watching what bullying does to kids and what it does to the families around them. What is the lie about bullying that the world keeps telling and that you've spent your whole career trying to correct?
I think the lie, and I hate to say this, but I think the lie is if you tell somebody, if you tell an adult, they will stop. Like if you tell the teacher,
Yes,
or if you tell somebody, I hate to say it, but that's just been a common thing. Speaking to the parents at the dojo, well, we've told the principal, we've told the parents, and it's never stopped. And that's been a constant since I've had to deal with it.
Yes.
So that's got to be a lie then, right? If it hasn't changed in my 30 years of teaching,
So what should the kids do differently then?
You know what? I think they should empower themselves by doing martial arts, right? Because it's not about, I'll just, my story, not my story, but my main thing is, it's like, I was getting into scuffles, before I became a karate black belt, and I was a teenager, wanted to test it out, just being a stupid teenager, right? Like getting into, and there came a certain point where I'm like, I don't need to do that because I got training partners at the dojo who's going to actually make it hard for me, who's going to be more of a challenge, right? So you learn this confidence, and they have to do martial arts because also if your message is you just tell that kid to stop, you need to know like, well, I got to go up there and tell him to stop, but what if he doesn't stop and he swings at me? I got to have my backup, like this, the martial arts training is the backup.
That's right.
Right. And you need to know like, okay, my backup is there. You've heard me say this to your daughter. I'm like, karate is your superpower.
That's right.
You don't tell anybody you do it, but like, if I have to tell you to stop, you don't stop. I've got my superpower, whether it's, martial arts training, any martial arts training, right?
That's right.
Obviously I'm saying karate, jiu-jitsu, because that's what I do, but it could be Muay Thai boxing, like Coach P does, right? So
that empowerment though, it's important because it's a certain confident, it's a certain, like, even there's kids that like, my son doesn't like hurting people.
Yeah.
Okay. And he was getting bullied in school. And I was like, I don't understand why you're getting bullied. Like, you know what to do. You know what I mean? It's like,
that's my younger guy. Yeah.
I was like, you know what to do. And he goes, but I don't like to hurt anyone. And I go, but you don't have to hurt anyone. And I go, what is this kid doing to you? And he shows me. And I was like, okay, you don't have to do anything to hurt him. If he's grabbing the back of your neck, I go, you know how to wrap up his arm, push him away and say, don't touch me.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, but he automatically thought at that age, like, I have to punch him in the face.
And that's the, like my first, again, like going back to that, I'll just go, this makes me sound like I was getting into a lot of fights, but I wasn't getting into a lot of fights. But there was like, I remember, because I don't like to fight either, right? Like I like to have a match. To me, a match and a fight are two different things, right? And I remember like grappling wasn't a big thing yet, right? So like two guys wanted to, I guess for lack of a better word, like beat me up. And I just kept dodging their punches. Yeah. And then suddenly like one of them, my friend overheard it, goes, well, forget it, I can't hit him. And it stopped, right? And that was it. It's like, yeah, you don't have to punch, right? Like you don't have, but like seeing that, like I can wrap you up, or I can make you miss, controlling distance and things like that. the other person will know. It's just like, it's another thing I say to the kid, right? Like it's like if they know they can't do anything to you because bullies are insecure.
That's right.
They're just looking to overpower somebody else. So it's like, I can't do anything to this guy. Or maybe that guy now. I'll go to that guy instead.
That's right.
Right? And leave him alone because he's going to make me look like a fool.
But again, it comes back to there's a lot of controversial around, again, my parents have said, don't fight in school. There's a bully that's picking on me. My teacher's saying don't be violent in class or you'll get in trouble. There's so much confliction. How do you overcome this confliction as a kid? Who do you listen to? Like that's one of the issues that I see with, today's society versus, how we grew up back in the days. How do you deal with that?
So this is a tough one, okay, because there's multiple things, but my last thing I want is for a kid to get hurt.
That's right.
Or hurt anybody else. Now, that happens sometimes. Like if you're going to get into an altercation, sometimes someone's going to get hurt. Now, if you don't stand up for yourself, there ends up being where it's going to happen again. And
That's
it'll
right.
happen again. Now, as a parent, I've told my son and my daughter, both of them, like if you're getting into, deal with what you have to deal with, I'll deal with everything else after.
That is so important.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I tell them too, and I say, listen, the only thing that matters is what I think. In this situation, because my son's the same way, like stop me getting phone calls at school every week, and I don't want to get in trouble, all this stuff. And I said, you know what? You do what you have to do to make them stop. Obviously, like violence is like at the very end of that thing. Yeah. And I said, but if it gets to that, like the only person that matters that has your back is me and mommy.
Yeah.
And I got your back. I will take care of everything I need to take care of.
And I think we have to change the wording on violence versus self-protection.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing, like you're saying, like sometimes you have to do that. Like just a funny thing, like our house backs onto a schoolyard, right? And like I could see the schoolyard from my bedroom window. And my wife would always be like, oh my God, those two boys are fighting, right? And I'd be like, they're not fighting. And I go, and then I should be like, how do you know? I'm like, they're not fighting. And then I'm like, see, now they're walking away. They're like still shoving each other, but they're laughing. They're not fighting. And I'd be like, now those two guys over there, they're fighting, right? And I think sometimes the problem is you don't let them roughhouse a little bit. Right? So if we're roughhousing, right? And it's just like we roughhouse and it's like, okay, we're done. It's like, oh, right? But now it's like, if I want to roughhouse with Coach P and he's like sheltered, like he'd be, oh, he's trying to hurt me. I'm like, oh, I thought we were just, so there's this like there's no more of this like social, like communication without talking.
Yeah.
We're just roughhousing. Right? Like, and sometimes, I mean, that could be like he's bullying me. Sometimes I wonder if that's the case, right? Like just one guy is just, you learn something from that too.
That's right.
Right? You learn, like we've sheltered so much that even that rough housing, it could, like you learn something from that. You learn learn like, oh, he's not really trying to hurt me. We're just like goofing around. It's like, oh, that guy actually tried, like, he was taking it out of hand. He was getting out of hand.
That's right.
People don't know that difference anymore, I don't think.
So in elementary school, I had the same group of friends from kindergarten to grade 8.
Yeah.
And about grade 4 or 5, every year, at the beginning of the year, we had like a wrestling match. And it was almost like a Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
Where whoever was left at the end was the toughest guy in the class. But no one was really trying to hurt him. No one was hitting. We were just wrestling. You know what I mean? And whoever dominated was the toughest guy in the class. And that was like, it was almost like a ritual that we did.
But also like speaking of that I was going to say earlier on too, like in my group of friends in elementary as well, I came in at grade 3 to grade 8. like within that group of friends, we all got into a physical fight against each other. But we never not like we learned how to like figure it out and like, oh, I'm just angry and you're just angry. We're just being stupid. Like, we're still friends. Like, oh,
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah. You know, it's like, it's,
Sometimes it would take a day.
yeah. Sometimes it would take next recess. It's like, oh, like, let's go play ball again. Like, right. Like, yeah. I mean, I'm not for violence, of course, but, you know, you learn, like, you know, like when you fight, like a match, right? What do the two fighters do right after when the bell rings, when they go to distance?
They shake hands,
Tap
They
hug,
hug each other.
they
hug, and then go say something in the other corner.
Yeah. You know, I'm not saying that they need to do that, but there's always a camaraderie. Like, you know, like things will figure it out.
That's right.
Yeah.
I also, back to the roughhousing bit and leave it, I think, I don't know, maybe it was just me or the people around me, but when we were doing that, I didn't see that much bullying.
No.
Like you said, people got into fights, people got into disagreements and all that, but it wasn't like that constant badgering of someone.
Yeah, that's different, right? Like the bullying is different than what we're talking about. But because we were roughhousing, we understood the difference between, oh, that guy is trying to bully, and
right.
we're not, we're just goofing around.
Yeah.
So like, I think now, because so sheltered, people can't differentiate between, I think that's where we started with this, was people can't differentiate between roughhousing and bullying, right? Like, bullying is a problem. Roughhousing, I think, is...
So again, when you guys are talking about roughhousing, you know, I've gone through it with my friends, and it was more of, you know, the boys versus the boys. I've got a daughter now, and she gets picked on by boys in her class, and this has started since she was in grade 1. What differentiates now we're in 2026 versus, again, what was happening in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s? What has changed?
What do you mean? Like, in how so? Like,
again, we understand, like, back then it was the boys with the boys, roughhousing, but now I've seen videos, and you know, social media is very open to posting a lot of that, where these boys are just pounding on these girls.
Yeah,
right.
You know what? I'm just as like, I have a daughter. I'm just as stumped about that. But again, I think it goes back to, you're not letting, you know, it's like, I'm not a science. Boys, by their nature, as they're developing, they just have like all this energy, right? Testosterone. And, you know, like, if you're, maybe they're just like the first target, right? You know, I mean, you know, like, go on.
I don't.
That's a tough one. I don't know if I have an answer for that.
Here's the thing: is where are they learning it from?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Because like, my son's not going to go out and do that. Right. I look at the guys that are. I hope it's because we taught them the right values. Now my daughter, on the other hand, she might go mess some people up.
But, you know, like, going back to that, my son's not going to do that either to a girl, because the only time my son's ever seen me lose it is when he tried to lose it on his mom, right? And like, that's not a, you know, he can lose it on me, right? But he loses it on his sister, or he loses it on his mom. Like, he sees a different version of me that he doesn't see, right? And you know, I don't do anything crazy, but he knows I'm serious. Like, I can get mad at him, right? Like, one-on-one, like, I get mad at him, and, you know, he'll shoot in for a takedown or something, right? Like, he knows it's just like, again, going back to the roughhousing, he's uncomfortable. So he's going to roughhouse with me because he knows I like it. And like, he knows it's an opportunity for him to teach him some moves and counters and stuff. But like, I'm serious when he's like that to, you know, his mom, and he knows it, so he doesn't. Right? So,
I've literally said to my kids at the dinner table, do you guys realize that if we're on the street and someone talked to your mom like that, the outcome wouldn't be
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So don't you do that.
That's right. And then again, it goes to the
respect, you know?
the parenting, the values, the respect, which we'll get into. I want to talk about when a kid's being bullied, real bullied, what is actually happening inside their mind, not on the surface, but underneath.
The
And I know
person,
you guys both,
the person that's getting bullied or the person that's bullying.
no, the kid that's being bullied.
I think it breaks them down. You know, like, you know, if it's, they start to believe, they start to believe whatever that person is saying.
That's right.
Right. And if they're not seeing, like anybody else getting treated that way, then maybe their self-worth goes down too.
Yes.
Because
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, well, it's just me. I must not, like you were talking about your student, right? It was just, oh, I thought I was the only one. I thought I was like not good. I thought I was stupid because everybody else can move so fluently. Well, everybody else is an orthodox fighter, right?
Yeah.
Now you go make you fight left-handed and you're like just as fluid, if not better than anybody else.
Yeah.
Right. So I think it's that. I think it's worse, you know,
Absolutely.
like, especially when they don't see anybody else getting treated that way.
Going back to what we were saying about how I don't think I saw it as much when we were younger. There's another thing that goes along with it is that this self-worth, like when we were younger and if we got bullied, okay, you know, it might last a week
Yeah.
and then it goes away, or you go to high school and it changes.
Yeah.
But because of social media, this stuff follows the kids around.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's this, they're constantly hearing these things. They're constantly,
Yes.
and like words matter. Like, I know that whole thing, sticks and stones may break your bones, but words, like you take them in.
It's worse.
Yeah, you take them in, and if you don't have the right confidence in yourself
yes.
or the right belief or even outlets, it builds up. And the more it builds up, the more it becomes of who you think you are. Because like you think that's your identity.
That's right.
Yeah. I think that sticks and stones, they break my bones. I think that's backwards, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, because my bones, it's right, my heel, it will heal.
Yes.
But mentally,
Yes.
if you keep saying things to me mentally, like, how do I know that we don't know that that's healing, right?
Yeah.
No, for sure.
You know, but that's why you have to give them, again, going back, you have to put them in environments and you have to put them in situations where they're learning these, to learn how to believe in themselves and become confident,
confident,
right? It's where, again, like just keep going back to what we do. Like martial arts is the thing, because guess what? If you, sports is great for that, right? Building confidence.
Yeah.
But what if you're not good? What if you're like, you know, like if you put them in hockey and like you're on the bench all the time,
That's
or
right.
you put them in basketball and nobody passes you the ball, that's gonna, you know, that's just makes things worse, right? But when
Absolutely.
you're doing something like martial arts where you could, you know, maybe you're not athletic, but you will get there. You will get good.
Yeah.
Right.
Slower
That's why,
progression.
like I got my Sensei's personal best, right?
Nice.
You know, yeah, it's slow and steady, but you will gain the skills.
Exactly.
Right.
And I feel like everyone, even like in sports, yeah, everyone's different. Everyone's built different. And you might not be that athletic. You might not be able to get this or get that. But I think in martial arts, there's always a technique that will work for you, that will benefit you, that you will be good at, that you will use. And it's multiple techniques. And sometimes even a technique that I will show, I will use it differently than you would use it.
That's right.
But it still works for you.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it and just, you know, I was teaching 2 days ago, the sparring. It's just managing distance, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, maybe you might not be athletic, but you know how to you'll learn how to manage distance, so that if someone takes a swing at you, you could just bob and weave, take a step back and things like that, right? So,
That's right.
you know, from a physical bullying standpoint. But again, I think I said it earlier, what that gives you is like, hey, if you're good at something and you've accomplished something, you know, like if somebody says, oh, you suck, it's like, but no, I don't. Because I'm like, I can, you know, I kicked my sensei in the head, I kicked my crew in the head yesterday. How can I suck? You know?
So here's the thing too, is the words, I think the more important thing is you hearing these words and then repeating them to yourself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Yes.
that's what does the most damage.
Yes.
Is you constantly telling these like
Even
even
because maybe you're not, but you're hearing it.
Yeah,
Like
but
when
then-
someone's saying it to
Yeah.
you in your head, right?
and you're not disagreeing with it in your
Yes.
head,
You
and you
replay
need
it.
to,
Yeah.
You
right?
replay it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes you need evidence, like I kicked
Yeah.
my crew in the
Yeah,
head. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah.
Like,
Well, let's turn the shoe to the other foot. Let's talk about the bully. Because for decades, we've focused on the victim, but what's actually going on with the kid who's doing the bullying?
that could be so many
That
different
could
things.
be so many different
Yeah.
things too. That like I mean, you just go back to like what's their home life like? How are
Mhm.
they being brought up? What are they seeing?
Sometimes it's a losing control of that bravado.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Or you're in a group situation and
Yeah.
it just gets out of hand, and you're
Well, sometimes too, it could just be lack of confidence, right? You know, it's so they're looking for someone with even less confidence.
Mhm.
So again, a lot of parents might not like hearing this. How often are parents, to be, like how often are they at fault for the kids becoming bullied? And what are they doing that they need to do differently? And again, for me, it's a lot to do with the parents because the environment that you're
Yeah.
raised, the culture, your beliefs. What can they do differently?
be more aware, be more
Mhm.
present, start asking more questions, start being more involved.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think be honest.
Yeah.
You know, like a lot of parents whose kids can do no wrong,
That's right.
and then I guess the kids start to believe that.
hmm
Also, if I shove this guy, it can't be my fault
Yeah.
because, you know, like, you know, like a little bit of tough love will go a long way.
Yeah.
Right.
And
And I
accountability.
mean, I think like, yeah, that's what I mean by tough love. You know, and sometimes language is like, I don't even want to say it sometimes because I'm like, well, if I say tough love, people might interpret that the wrong way.
Yeah.
No, I just meant accountability.
Yeah, not
Hey,
beating
Yeah.
the
you
kids.
you pushed that kid and
Yeah.
that's wrong.
Yeah.
You're like I've said to my kid, like that's a bully behavior. He
Mhm.
didn't like that.
Yeah.
Right. And he's like, because who wants to be a bully?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
that is a bully behavior.
That's
And
right.
so that made him stop. Right. But that's accountability. Like, I don't know what to tell you, buddy.
Absolutely.
You were not being bullied. You were the bully in that situation.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. So Pete, you
So-
talked about values as well.
Uh-huh.
How do you live those values in front of your kids?
What do you mean? Like live? I can't. Like, I'm just doing me.
That's right. But again, I think it's also important to walk that talk as a
Yeah.
parent.
Yeah.
right?
So one of the things, like, I was debating on if I was going to bring this up or not. In high school, I moved from where I was and I went to a different area, and I started. I moved the weekend before grade 9 started.
That's got to be rough.
Yeah, and I sat in the cafeteria the first day by myself, and I remember looking around, and I was like, okay, that's it. Like the guys that I've known since kindergarten to grade 8, you know, this is different. But then I was like, but I can be anyone I want. And I remember sitting there and thinking that, and then I was like, I'm going to be this guy. But that guy turned into someone who not necessarily was nice all the time. Now, I had friends and I was nice to a lot of people, but I also bullied people too. But it was because I was insecure.
Yeah, I was going to say.
You know what I mean? Like when it comes down to it, I didn't know. I was by myself and I was like, how do I do this? And then when I said sometimes it gets like that bravado gets out of control.
Yeah.
There's so much testosterone going on in that age.
Yeah.
And the bravado just kept building and building and building, right? Even to the point where when I saved up money for boxing, it was because I wanted to fight. I didn't realize that I wanted to be a martial artist until I was an adult. I was almost like 30 when I realized that I didn't, because even through my 20s, I was like, I want to fight. I got up one day from the couch, my wife was sitting there, I was like, I want to fight. And she goes, you do? And I was like, yeah. And I literally got up, drove to Combat Arts and signed up for their Spar Fest and jumped in.
Nice.
But then as time gradually went on, I realized that that's not what I wanted. I love competition.
Yeah, well, that's
And-
what it is. It's the competition that you.
And I like getting better. And I like also taking everything that I've learned in martial arts and applying it to the rest of my life.
Mm.
And I found it's opened up so much. And it's actually made me look at that guy that was in high school differently. He wasn't necessarily a bully. He was just trying to be cool. He was
Yeah.
trying to be,
And that's
you
the
know what I
problem.
mean?
Yeah, you know, yeah. So you got to put him in the environment. He wasn't in an environment where, like, if you, I don't go back, like maybe if your mom had put you in that karate lesson
Yeah.
early, and then you got that competitive, you were going to that, like what you were looking for was competition,
Mhm.
right? And then kind of put you into competition much earlier, right? Like, yeah.
Like when I think about jujitsu,
Yeah.
I would be like even like striking, I was like, yeah, but it really sunk into me with jujitsu because I went into a grading at Gringos
Yeah.
and I was looking around and I was like, I'm used to walking into a room and I can take just about everybody in the room. I go, in this room, I'm in trouble, man.
Well, that's what, yeah. I mean,
and if I had known that when I was younger,
yeah.
you know what I mean? If that,
Yeah. Well, yeah, 100%. Like, yeah, because another thing martial arts will teach you fighting is like, there's always somebody better.
It
yeah,
humbles you.
yeah,
Yeah, there's always somebody better.
no, for sure.
Like one of my best friends. Yes. One of my closest friends who's like my senior in karate. He's been doing jujitsu with me. And like, I showed him just this, like, he's so talented. I showed him this one technique to fix up his technique and he tapped me with it yesterday. But you know what? My competitiveness was like, damn, I got to get him again. I'm going to get him.
Yeah,
But like my martial arts
yeah,
was like, yes, let's go. Like, you got me. Like,
Yes.
yeah, you're learning. And like, I taught you that, you know, and I'm like, yeah, we're going to get better together now.
yeah.
You know?
That's right.
When I'm sparring with the guys and they hit me and I'm like, good.
Yes.
And I
yeah.
see their expression. They're like, I was like, but it was good.
Yeah. But yeah, like, so last week I was, you know, like I've got a few teenagers who were very good, but they lack a little bit of that confidence. So I was like, I geared up, right? I'm like, I'm gonna fight these guys. I'm gonna spar with these guys. And they were so happy. And then, you know, and then every time I kicked them in the head or anything, I did something fancy, they would be happy, right?
Yeah.
But they would get me and I would be happy. And then, but I could see in their face, they'd be like, their confidence built,
That's right.
built. Like, yeah, like earlier, like, oh, I got Sensei. I must be good at this if I can get him, right? Like, you know, sometimes I was letting them, but sometimes I wasn't.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
no. And I think that's important for them to feel that and know that. And
But you could see the confidence.
yeah.
building, right?
And it's as a coach, and I know there's other coaches out there that aren't like that, but I mean, I like knowing that they're learning. I know that they're getting better. If they catch me, great. Okay, I think it's amazing because that means that what I'm doing is right.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And not just, and then eventually then it goes back to like how they carry themselves. Like they're walking into the dojo, you know, and now they're helping other people,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
You know, like I could see it with your daughter, right? Like it's taken a little bit longer, but that's because she doesn't come as often due to her schedule and things like that. But now you could see her taking it seriously, taking pride in how she's in her accomplishments and how she's moving and how she's doing the technique. She's starting to have some pride in it too, right?
And confidence.
And that will now start to carry on.
Yeah.
You know, and eventually we want her, like you're saying, she's being bullied. You know, eventually maybe the answer is just for her to go like, you know what? And this is where you come in. Like we talked about earlier, your opinion is the only thing that matters in this situation.
That's right. Yeah.
Eventually she's going to be like, I've had enough of this.
Yeah. I've given her the green light.
and then you know, you go to the teachers. Well, I've already told you about this.
That's exactly it.
I don't know what you want from me, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm accountable for my daughter at the
That's
end of
right,
the day.
yeah.
We're accountable for our kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
So again, talking about schools have these anti-bullying assemblies, posters, policies, slogans. So be honest, are any of these actually working? And if not, what should they be doing differently?
So I don't know if they're working, but what I do know that I don't know if they can do any more other than get the parents to go over this stuff with the kids.
Yes.
I think that would be the most important thing because there's certain things you go and let's say you go to school, there's maybe 3 or 4 teachers that I left school and I was like, oh, they were good teachers. I liked them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then there's a handful that I don't even remember their names.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So now they're teaching this stuff. Is the kid necessarily listening? But now if they go home and their parents sit down with them and go over this material as well,
That's right.
I think that's where it starts to make a difference. And not
Yeah.
just once, right?
You know, I don't want to throw it all back to the teachers, but they're probably just as handcuffed. You know, they
Absolutely.
Probably, you know, like,
Yep.
is it their fault? Like, you know, they have people to answer to too,
Yeah.
right? And they're just they have things to follow. So, I mean, I don't know. Like, it's definitely not them. Some of the teachers I talk to, you know, they're just as frustrated, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I have some parents like, I don't know if this has anything to do with bullying. I think so, but you know, they're like, oh, we're not even allowed to play baseball we're not even allowed to throw a baseball in the schoolyard anymore.
Hmm.
We're not even allowed to throw a football in the schoolyard anymore because if you hit someone, it's too hard,
No,
Yeah.
right? You know, and you know, what did I mean, you know, I sound like an old man back in my day, but you know, I mean, I played this game called British.
Yeah.
I remember
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, you guys played it too,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. And
just
can I
as old.
see
Yeah.
what's that?
We're just as old.
Yeah. You know, and what was it? It's just like you ran from one end of the schoolyard to the other schoolyard. You just
Yeah.
looked for one guy to like tackle.
Yeah.
Right? And like, but again, it's
Red
that rough
Rover.
housing, right? Red Rover.
All that. Yeah.
Can I say
Salat.
like
Yeah.
Salat? Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought I was the
Salat.
only.
No,
I thought I
Salat.
was the only one who played Salat.
You know, I remember just even walking home and you'd see one of your friends walking down the street and you
Yeah.
just kick
Yeah.
that thing right
Or
between the
you're
legs.
like-
I got you.
Yeah, yeah, Salat or like or I don't know. Maybe you could cut this
Go
out. I
for
don't
it.
know, but you know, like I was listening to the radio and they were like, "Oh, what are weird games that you used to play?" And then this one guy called. You know, he was older but younger than me, and the game was, oh, all you have to do is take your tennis ball and throw it into the wall, and the other person has to catch it, right? And if you don't throw it, if it doesn't reach the wall, right? The guy who gets the ball can throw it at you
Yeah.
before you reach you
Oh.
run to the wall, and then he goes, oh yeah, we used to call this game whip, right? And I'm like, that's not whip. We called it red ass.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? But it's like, so, you know, I've been going back to what I'm saying, just reminiscing now. You know, some of the teachers are just like, you know, like there's a few teachers like, oh, they're not even allowed to play like certain sports.
That's right.
In the thing, right? Like,
So where's the outlet?
yeah.
That's
Where's the outlet? Yeah.
video games is not
Yeah.
it.
No.
Yeah. And I can tell you with video games, like if my own kids, like if I let them go play
Oh,
video
yeah.
games a certain amount of time, they're like a different kid. If it's like over X number of hours,
That's right.
minutes,
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know this kid anymore. But if I keep it below that, he's still that kid I want to play with. We're hanging out, we're having fun,
Exactly.
right? So yeah, where's
Yeah.
the outlet, right?
That's
Like,
right.
Yeah.
And a lot of stuff like, I think we talked about this in the last podcast is trauma builds up in your body,
Yes.
right? Now, micro traumas happen every day.
Yeah.
Now, these things building up and there's no outlet for it. There's no movement. If there's no movement, it stays stuck and
Yeah.
it builds, right? Like if you almost get into a car accident, that trauma, that adrenaline releases in your body. You go home and I recommend people shake right away.
Yeah.
Go on, bounce, dance, move. You know, I do something that gets that moving.
That can go like going back to like bullying too, but those micro traumas and those traumas who's to say that it's not happening to you mentally when someone's treating you a certain way?
Yeah,
right,
for
right?
sure.
And so how are you letting that out, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know what? I find just like, like when I was younger, anyways, not so much because, like I do it differently. Like, when I was in my 20s, like 30s, I'd go hit the bag,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
Like, or have someone hold the pads for me.
Mm-hmm.
Kids don't have that. That's a positive outlet for your
No,
anger or
that's
whatever
right.
it may be, right?
Absolutely.
Now I know. Now I go Zen. Like I do kata, right? Like
Yeah. So I
now I
meditate.
could do that.
Yeah,
right?
I'll sit
like
down,
it's like a
meditate.
moving kata, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
a moving meditation. So I'll do that now. I don't need to hit anything, right? I need to control. I learned like by doing like kata, these like movements. Think
Yeah.
shadow boxing,
Yeah.
right?
That's right.
It calms me down, right? Because
for sure.
I'm in a place where I'm like I like to be in this place.
Absolutely.
My wife used to come home and like have like a 2-minute conversation with me and be like, "You haven't trained yet today, have you? You need to go train."
Yeah, well, when we would go on a vacation, my wife would be like, "It's 4:00," and I'd be like, "How do you know?" She's like, "You're getting antsy. You need to go teach."
We've come close to the end of our segment here. I'm going to ask you guys a few quick questions,
Yeah.
and I'm going to get each of you guys to answer it really quickly. So if a parent listening right now has a child who's being bullied, what is a conversation they should have with their child tonight?
I think they should first sit them down and ask them what's happening. Once they find out what's happening, they start talking to them about their personal space. And like, I teach the kids about their bubble, right? And how there's a certain thing, like right now, across the table from me, I don't feel so threatened. Okay. But Rob, you're a very threatening guy, by the way.
You should see him when he goes to the dojo in the summer. And he's wearing a tank top.
Yeah.
I get out of his way.
But there's different levels of the bubble,
Yeah.
right? So right now I don't feel, but then as you get closer, I'm like, okay, now you're getting closer. You're getting into a space where this is my personal space. You're not supposed to be in it.
Mm-hmm.
So now if you don't know any martial arts, right? If you knew martial arts, I would say, okay, now start to step back into your stance, put your hands up, tell them to get out of your space. But for someone who doesn't, please don't come any closer to me. If they're not going to listen, back out. Okay. And then once they start, if it's verbal bullying, right, they have to know their worth. If it's physical, they have to know how to defend themselves.
Awesome.
I think they should have a conversation and say, "Listen, I've got your back.
Nice.
I believe you. I believe that this is. You have no reason to lie to me. If you tell me this is what's happening, I believe you, right?" And then say, I would be like, how do you want to deal with this? Like, what do you think what do you think we should do to deal with this?
That's
right. And I will help you with that. Whether it's, do you want me to go, into the teacher's office, like into the principal's office and cause havoc, just for show maybe, right? Or, do you think, or give them options. These are the things we could do to help you with this, right? And I got your back. Which one do you want to do? If that doesn't work out, we do the next one. If that doesn't work out, we do the next one. But let them know that, hey, like I got you. And this is the most important thing that matters is our relationship. Yeah.
Is that you're there.
Yeah.
That's right.
I think it's important. I like the options because I was like thinking, do we say stand up for yourself? But if someone cannot physically stand up for themselves, that could be even a worse problem.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So giving them options is important.
Absolutely. So now if you were to speak to the kid directly who's being bullied right now, listening to this in their bedroom with the door closed, what would you tell them?
I think I would tell them they've got more friends than they realize. Right? And just going back to what we both do, right? Like that kid can go to my dojo, go to Coach P's gym. They already have us as friends. They don't even know it, right? And we already want the best for them. They don't even, I can speak for you, I think, right? Like I already want the best for them. They don't even know it yet, right? Like, so you have more people backing you than you have people bullying you.
That's right.
And you don't even know who they are yet, right? You haven't even met them yet, but you got to get out of that room and go,
Yeah.
right?
So, kind of going off of what Mark was saying is, I think, and I'm going to take this into a general, like bigger situation. A lot of people are, oh, the world's this, the world's that. The world is a good place.
Yes.
It's just that you're seeing the bad.
Yes.
Right. But the majority, like 80% of the world is good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? 80% of your surroundings are good. It's just that you're seeing that bit. And then when you see that bit, your brain latches onto it because your brain is supposed to protect you. So it looks for danger.
Yeah.
So it's always going to be looking for that.
That's right. Absolutely.
Right.
And last question, finish this sentence. And I'll let you guys go one by one. The kid who's being bullied today becomes the adult who
learns to stand up for themselves.
That's could go either way.
Yeah, I know. That's why I took the positive one first.
Yeah, I took the positive.
You shouldn't let me go first that time.
Yeah, I know. You know what? Since you went with the positive, I'll go with the not so positive. I think the kid who's being bullied today will be a trouble to society if you don't do anything about it now. So it could be like it doesn't have to be, but you have to do something. And obviously the kid, it's not the kid, it's the parent. I always say, you always hear me say, it's the parents.
Yeah.
Always the parents.
Yep.
Always the parents.
I agree.
So they don't necessarily have to be, but
absolutely,
you know. And I think, and I say this to my son too, like, you know, sometimes he'll ask, you know, why you make me do this? Why you make me do that? Why? And I'm like, because I have a responsibility to society.
Yes.
Because I'm going to let you out into society soon. I can't always be there for you.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I want to take this moment to thank you both for being on the show today. This was a very special show for me, especially, and this is a topic and a huge pet peeve of mine and all the bullying that's happening in society today. So thank you guys for joining me and sharing your knowledge, your experience, and your stories. Before I say goodbye, I want to give you guys a chance to tell the audience where they can find you.
You can find me on Instagram at Coach Pete, Boxing and Leadership. You can also find me on my website, coachpete.ca, and look forward to a big announcement coming soon. There'll be another place where you'll be able to find me, a more established, concrete place. So look out for that announcement.
Awesome. Thank you.
You can find me on Instagram at team_NKS or at NKS_BJJ and our website, northernkarate.com.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. And for those tuning in, thank you very much for joining us in another episode of the RK Leadership Podcast. If you've got any questions for Sensei Mark or Coach Pete, drop in the comments below and I'll make sure it gets to them and they can answer your questions. And we'll see you in the next episode. Take care, everybody.